Hello, everyone. We're back with another Women's Disability Show on the Live to Roll channel. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be talking about dealing with internet trolls today and how they can be annoying and how they can be hilarious and how they could just interfect with our posting on our social media, something that we do for ourselves and for our community. They kind of just dive on in there and can creep all in and can just cause a mess, or they think they're causing a mess. I'm not really sure, but we're going to dive all into it in the journey of the masterminds behind the internet trolls. And we have a lovely guest today, Gina, with us. I'm super excited. We might have Brianna popping in. She had an emergency. I know we had her on the flyer, but we're hoping that she'll still be able to join us. If not, we'll have her on next time. So without further ado, we'll do some introductions. If you guys do not know, my name is Brianna. I was injured 8 years ago from a gunshot wound. I am a T12 and I am in Los Angeles, California. You can go, Gina.
I am Gina Shu, and I am 38 years old, and I was injured 20 years ago diving into a swimming pool. I am a C5-6 quadriplegic, so that means no fine motor for those of you that don't know, but I'm sure a lot of you do. So yeah, that's my injury story. I'm a dinosaur. I've been at it for a hot minute.
Okay, great. And if you guys are joining us in the chat, feel free to drop a hello or a question or an answer or anything like that. Feel free to talk with each other in there. I will go through. Sometimes I know I move on to the next subject kind of quickly inside of our lives. And even when I'm watching the other lives, I'll be like trying to type in my question right there. And then they're already like fall behind. Don't worry about it. Still pop it in. I'll go back. I'll reread them and we'll answer all your questions. Okay. Okay, so let's start with what motivated you to start posting on social media in the first place. So, where was that?
Oh man, I think for me it was when I was newly injured. There really wasn't a lot of. There was no social media,
Yeah.
and there was no representation of people with disabilities. And I've always been out there and vocal, and I love to share things, and I'm a storyteller, and that's just kind of who I am. So it really happened naturally for me, and I found it was really important for me to show all of me too, like my disability, all of it, so that I gave that exposure to the world that was kind of missing. It really is.
Yeah. So, did you jump on when there was already kind of like a disability community on social media, or were you were really one of the first ones that hopped on?
Girl, I'm old. I was on MySpace. I was on
You've been
MySpace.
at it.
Look at me, I'm Miss Wheelchair Arizona. No, yeah, that was like many, many moons ago, let me tell you. No,
Okay.
yeah, I did MySpace and then I did Facebook. I used to have a Facebook
Okay.
really popular. It was Gina's
Yeah.
on a Roll, and I really pushed a lot of issues and I shared like disability related news and things like that. So it wasn't, and then I've gotten into my Instagram, which is more me. I
Yeah.
One who sees my Instagram knows it's like a little edgy. So I think that my latest social media is much more representative of myself. Yeah.
Okay. And then let's backtrack a little bit. So, going back to when you were first injured, were you instantly already like okay and ready to move on with your life, or did you have that struggle period?
I think the struggle periods come later for a lot of people in
Mhm.
chairs. Like at the beginning, you're kind of in shock and you're like, oh my gosh. For me, I didn't go through like depression. I kind of had a moment. I didn't live in denial of like, I'm going to walk, I'm going to walk. I kind of knew, I was like, I knew for some reason I was not going to recover. So I started preparing for life. I was 18 years old when I got injured,
Mhm.
so I was young. Luckily, I didn't start a career already. So I was able to start planning my life as a wheelchair user, and I did immediately. I didn't live in denial or anything like that, just really
Okay,
kind of
cool.
accept.
Mhm.
Um, I would say that the harder times kind of come later when the challenges really do start kicking in, where you're like, oh, you understand health issues related to having a
Mhm.
spinal cord. It's the
Yeah.
secondary conditions that can really take people out, that make people, struggle. And I would say for me, I haven't really had a lot of depression, anger more than anything. I would say
Yeah.
like, I'd be like, Gina, be nicer, be nicer, be nicer. So I think everyone deals with it differently. Mine,
Mhm.
I've been able to have a lot of creative outlets. I'm grateful for that. And social media is one of them. That's one of my creative outlets. I really like to make people feel uncomfortable.
Okay, so when did that start? Like
When
you
I was
just being
born,
an
I was the
artist?
first 85.
Okay, so you feel like you've always been an artist.
Yeah, I've always been creative. I've always liked to cook. I've always liked to paint. I've always liked to do things that create something bright or
Mhm,
delicious or something that I can share with people. Like my grandma, like growing up, was very southern, both of them, and they have these great, like very hospitable sides of them, and so does my mom. So for me, I feel like being able to like give people a good meal or like some eye candy with paints and
mhm,
stuff. So I think that kind of translates into social media where I'm giving people something that they want to consume. And so
mhm.
I think that all of that, that's why creators are so good on social media. And that's why it translates so well for people that like to create into social media. And so it's just been really natural for me. I love it. I have a blast on social media.
You do, and I see it and I watch you, and I really like do envy you a lot in the way that you even take the internet trolls and like you just laugh at them and how you're just so funny and humorous. So, like just starting back in the beginning, what was the first video where you kind of got any hate comments? Did you know what that even was before? Like were you shocked
Oh,
by it? Like where were you introduced by this internet troll type of language?
I would say from MySpace it started, but they wouldn't comment. Like, so on MySpace, the internet trolls would like slide in your DMs, but they wouldn't comment so openly and so like
Mhm.
hatefully on your like pictures or your videos and things like that. But I would get DMs that were like very inappropriate and like I I remember like one guy being like, "Oh, this excuse my language, and this is just in quotes. Do you have a cold pussy?" And I was like, "Oh, wrong fetish." Like, I was like, "That's necrophilia." Like, they don't work, but I'm not dead. I'm like, that's been like a long standing like thing that I get of like leg comments like, "Oh, your legs don't work." I'm like, I I'm actually disappointed in the trolls because, like, I
Yeah,
personally think I could roast myself better than they
I
do.
agree 1,000%. Sometimes I get some and I'm like offended just by how horrible this comment
I'm
is.
like, you gotta try harder. I'm like, really? It's like
Like you
that?
really sat there in your room, took the time to type these words out with your hands and press send and was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was like,
that was
there goes
great.
my engagement rate. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I love them. So I grew up in a pretty tough town, small town. And I really put myself out back then. I did singing and I like played tennis and things like that. And so that always comes, every girl who's ever put themselves out there knows that comes with criticism and judgment from other people and especially other women, unfortunately, especially in high school. Come on, it's high school.
Yeah.
So I was born and bred for this. Like, come for me. Like, I don't care. Like, my mom, it's so funny. My mom and I were having a conversation. They came to visit and they're seeing my social media blow up. We're from a small town. So people are like, "Hey, I see Gina." And I'm like, "I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry, Dad, for that almond toast." I'm like, he's like, mm-hmm. So my parents, though, are starting to see it and they love it, but they read the comments and it breaks my mom's heart. It
Hmm.
really does. She was like, why would somebody say this? I go, "Oh, Mom, gosh, who cares?" But it made me realize, like, it really does affect some people. Me, it's like water off a duck's back. I'm like, I don't
Hmm.
even care. In fact, I find it like a challenge where I'm like, what dumb shit can I say back?
So you do
And
respond to them.
oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
See,
Respond.
that's my problem because they say like don't respond to them, and the problem with me is like I get so triggered that I want to fucking respond. Even on my friends' posts, like I get so annoyed with their comment, and I just want to say something snarky back, like or just call them so ignorant, But then I feel like I'm wasting like my energy because then they just say some other stupid shit back, and I'm like, okay, are you even getting the fact that you're not funny?
Yeah. And so I am at a point, this is how I look at it. My responses are actually not for the troll. My responses are for the people who are reading my page and watching me and wanting me to stand up for myself, even though I can't, but they do, and I should.
Mhm.
I make those posts. My comments, they're usually like, I like to be funny. One of them got like 15,000 likes recently. One guy said, oh, like weird flex, at least I've got my legs. And I wrote back, oh, how funny, we're opposite. You've got your legs and I've got a brain. And it was like, blah. People were like, oh my God, this girl in a wheelchair just roasted this guy. And I'm like, yeah, put his ass on a skewer. I'm about it. Like, I do
Mhm.
think I interact. That's what I've had a lot of people say. Don't respond to him. You're just feeding it. And I'm like, dude, I want my algorithm to go up.
Yeah,
Like,
okay. So it doesn't bother you mentally though. You just find it like a game, like an algorithm game.
yeah, no, I can honestly tell you, I have not once in the middle of the night thought to myself about a comment that somebody made that was disparaging. The ones that piss me off, okay, wait, whoa, 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 rewind. The ones that are insulting to me that are like, oh, you ain't got no legs, you're crippled, and like all these rude things, like, about my appearance, like I don't care. Like one
Uh-huh.
person was like, is that a dude? And I'm like, I loved that. I actually reposted it. So I'm like, yeah. I was like, well, I see. Fair enough. But that one was pretty good. Actually, that's probably why I reposted it. But no, the ones that really piss me off are the ignorant comments about advocacy. So, one thing you'll recognize that's very important on my page, and something that's always been a big part of my life, is disability advocacy is very important to me. Pushing for law changes, speaking with legislators, making overall changes for not just me, but for every person with a disability that uses a wheelchair as well, because I represent not just myself, I represent everybody. So if you watch my stuff, you'll recognize there's always like an underlying, there's humor, but then there's also like, hey, by the way, like we should really have modifications covered by insurance. And like, did you know that they're not? And, you know,
Mhm.
hey, did you know that these wheels have this app that charge you $250 afterwards, which is total bullshit? So like, if you see my stuff, I'm on there talking about that. The comments that make me mad are the ones that, and not mad, but I'm just like, God, you're stupid. Not to
Mhm.
be mean.
Irritated, yeah.
They always say there's no stupid question or no stupid comment. Well, there is. And
Surprise!
surprise, surprise. Like, yeah, there is. So, like, and it's the ones that these people who have no idea about disability, okay? The only thing they know about disability is they were around when Christopher Reeves broke his neck and they remember the news article. Like, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, I remember when. They know nothing, but then they get on there and they make these comments about, like, well, transportation shouldn't be covered because XYZ, and it's not based on anything that's like true, or like one person was like, these
Yes,
people get,
factual. Uh-huh.
yes. And I'm like, you're spreading misinformation when it's like these people need to get Uber and Lyft. I'm like, I don't even get that in a big city, let alone
Mhm.
rural America.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm like, Jesus, like people, I'm like, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
you lady need to shut up. Those are the people I'm like, can you get off my page? But
Yeah, I wish I didn't let it trigger me so much, but even that little irk part of me, it's hard for me to wanna continue doing it sometimes. Like, sometimes I'm like,
so for
Do I really
you,
wanna deal with this?"
what are the ones that trigger you the most? Like, what are the ones that like you're like,
It is like that, where it's like misinformation or it's just plain ignorance, where they just make just um like a not factual fucking statement. I can handle the creep comments, I can handle those, I can handle the haha, you're crippled, I'm gonna push you down the stairs, all this other things, like, and stuff like that. But it's like when they're coming at me like with anger. I wish I could think of like a comment right now, but you're so right, like with advocating and stuff like that, where they just like feel like we don't need it. Like, oh, it must be great to just sit on your ass all day and collect disability. And it's like, bitch, like, do you even know what you're saying? You know, like
Yeah.
it irks me to my core. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
why are you so ignorant? Like, and yeah, it makes me just want to go off on them. And then I have before I've responded and like went back and forth, or even people that go in my DMs. Those are the ones that I really like just stay away from, because I feel like they're really just trying to privately get something out of the
Mhm.
argument, you know, or like people that you're not disabled, you're faking it. And it's like, am I gonna sit here and argue with you that I'm disabled? And I see other girls doing it, especially when they're newly injured. It hurts my feelings because I'm like, don't comment back to them like they're singling you out. They know you're newly injured. They're looking for newly injured people online, you know, to come and pick at you. Like, don't feel like you have to explain anything to them or prove that you're disabled in any way. But the fact that there is these, I hate to say men, but I feel like there's just these creepy men just getting off on sending these messages. And it's like, what is wrong with you? Get off the fucking internet. I don't know.
Oh, it is. No, you're right. See, that's the thing. You're dealing with people. So this is my funny thing is that I always, one of the best comebacks to these people is, oh, well, aren't you a great example that not all disabilities are visible? You know, like just saying.
That's a
You
great
know,
one.
yeah, and it's true. A lot of people like they get on there, and one guy was like, "Oh, is it a mental or physical disability?" And I was like, dude,
Ha
it's physical.
ha
I literally
ha.
like I responded. I'm like, it's physical. And the fact that you derived some joy out of making that comment, I put dot dot dot. Maybe it's time for therapy. Like, I'm like, just saying. One thing I'll never do, and if you do get on my comments and you ever read my like comebacks and people ever read my comebacks, I don't go for people based on their like looks, like or anything like that. Like I'm not mean. I don't jab. Like it may be a light, funny, like hee hee. Like I don't like I have a hard time
Mhm.
responding to people seriously that have an avatar as their picture. Like something funny like that, or
Yes,
like.
you can just tell it's fake. I
But
hate
I'm
it when
not.
they're telling me something like
Yeah,
that.
I don't go deep into like insulting people. A lot of times I want to like be
Educate
funny.
them. Uh-huh,
Yeah.
yeah. Educate them in a funny way, or have a funny comeback, you know, and just like be
Yeah.
like a little snarky with it, you know,
Yeah.
maybe make the other disabled people that are watching your page laugh, which you do. I can say from my account, I laugh
Oh,
tons of
good.
times
Thank
reading them,
you.
you know, and I just think it's great because it also just gives me that little like boost too, where it's just like those snarky ones are so good. And I guess there is a balance between comedy and like just knowing your boundaries in that way as well. I feel like, you know, for
Oh,
sure. Because then there's like the ones where like you do want to go off, but it's like, am I just wasting my time that somebody's like totally fake and like totally meaning this to get a response out of me? Or is it somebody ignorant thinking they're making a funny comment and just trying to be funny? I feel like it's a problem with the internet. People are just trying to be funny, not even just on disabled
yeah.
page. That's on blogs page. They just like they write hateful shit just to try to get other people to laugh or get the most likes. And it's just like, why? I don't understand it. I personally would never go under somebody's page, watch content that I do not like, and comment mean things underneath talking about them. It just seems so like energy draining, just
Yeah.
pointless. No, I don't know, but
I think though those are a lot of times I notice it's people like they're not gonna have a lot of followers or a lot of posts or a lot of things. So like there's that saying that any attention is good attention. And I think that's, they're the adolescents that were once acting out, now adults acting out.
mhm,
And that's what we're dealing with, And so for me, it's like, I'm like, I know deep down, like when they go out in public, like they don't assimilate well. Like they continue to have struggles that like somebody who's like an extrovert that like does well on social media and social life, like their social life is usually healthy and things like that. So I
mhm.
step back and also look at the big picture, and I'm like, they're just sad. Like I don't take it personally. Also, I'm not like all bitter and upset about my disability.
Mhm.
It is.
There's a
you know.
difference, yeah. Maybe if people haven't fully accepted it yet. That's what kind of sucks too, though. It's just like, do you know, like, kind of like what mental turmoil you could be affecting other people? They're already dealing with so much with the newly injured, trying to put their disability out there. And I have talked to girls like have broke down about this, like wanting to post, but like not okay with the comments, and like trying to encourage them. And it's just like, what evilness, but the thing is like, no, I don't think that they realize it. It's like when we're here talking about our trauma and I'm like, oh my god, I just got shot in the back, and the guy's like, show me your disabled titties in the chat, and it's like, this is not the time or the place, but I just don't
Yeah,
think
like
they can
yeah,
associate
like
it.
a girl who's in a wheelchair that's ever done online dating, and you're like, I'm in a wheelchair. Can you have sex? Like,
Yeah.
God, can you ask me something else first? I always tell them, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what do you think? Probably not with you. But it's, yeah, no, I would say I have a comment that I always tell everyone, and something like, and a philosophy I live by. If they don't pay my bills and they don't see me naked, they can't see shit about my life. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing that you can say that will affect me if you're not paying my bills and you're not seeing my disabled titties. But you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's true though. Like, you don't, at that point, nobody has a say in your life. Some people, the misery that lives within so many people. Like, I look at that and like I actually feel bad for a lot of the people that comment some of those things. Not to mention half the time their grammar is so bad. I'm like, whoa.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm like,
And those are the little
whoa.
things that, like, I try to remind myself to stop myself from commenting, but I think maybe why it affects me too, why I'm saying it out loud, is like because I get obsessive, like when I want to say something that I'm not able to say. And sometimes I do feel more silenced when I'm inside of my chair. Before I was inside of my chair, I was able to get a little bit more rowdier, a little bit more, like just talk backish. And I've gotten a little bit more quieter inside my chair. So I feel like when I don't say what I want to say, it just like obsessively replays in my head. And then I'm like, oh no, like I don't want that to happen neither, So it's just maybe reminding myself that they're definitely going through things, and their karma will get them, and maybe they'll understand disability at a different time in their life. Right now it's not the time.
Towards the end of it, they will. But I mean, now, why do you think that is that you've gotten quieter?
I don't know. I think because maybe I was so rowdy before. I got injured when I was 21, so it was still like past like my high school, little like college days, where I was like very outgoing. I was very rowdy, very like a partier, fighter type of person. So, and I'm also the older sister, so I have like a sense of authority too. I don't like anybody that puts any authority over me. That's what I realized. So if I get any type of um feel like you're punking me in any way or you're trying to like come at me in any way, I get instantly defensive, and all my senses are
Yeah,
heightened, and I just like go at it. But in my chair, I realized, well, before my defense would be like, well, I'll just fight them. If they want to fight me, I'll just fight them. But now I'm like, well, can't get like that, Brianna. Violence is not the answer. I cannot fight them. That's not okay. Maybe I need to shut my mouth, and not just say everything on my mind. So I feel like that's why I've kind of taken a step back in that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
That I understand. Yeah, I was a little firecracker. I hear you.
Yeah, so I've definitely found myself now inside of my chair, but it's like a different myself. And I have to find ways to get my point across and advocate without getting overly angry and wanting to fight, the lady in the doctor's office sometimes because they be really irking me, So I've just like have learned to like kind of be more professional in that way. And then these people kind of, I feel like, bring back that old part of me where I just get so angry. And when I get angry, it's not a good sign. I totally black out and just will totally cuss you out and lose sight of everything. I don't even know how I'm like saying logical stuff out of my mouth because
Yeah.
it's like I don't even remember it. And that's what gets me. And I do come back with really snarky comebacks too. So the fact that like sometimes I'm just like thinking about it, and I just like want to go back and comment and like also like in the beginning of my injury, I would get in like these back and forth fights. And that I'm not okay with anymore doing, because
Yeah.
then I just feel like it's just draining me.
Yeah.
And these people are getting energy like sucked into them, giving into them, and they're getting all this life and so happy, firing back, adrenaline rushing. And here I am, like so angry, not even able to function for the day, like even treating people in my normal, regular life that I actually care about like shit, because somebody comments something. And then I'm just like, so it's a battle, but I
I
realized that I'm trying to see like maybe I just maybe start posting back on Instagram instead of TikTok too, because I feel like TikTok's a little bit more toxic.
TikToxic.
Yeah, it is. No, they're
I
wild over there.
it's all pretty toxic though, because like recently, and that's what, so like when I just recently had these videos go viral, and I've had
Mhm,
like 4 or 5 videos that have been like, millions of views now. And it's so funny because my friends are like, man, how did this happen sooner? But like, are you happy it's happening now? And I
uh-huh,
said, I'm happy it's happening now and it didn't happen 10 years ago, because or before that, because for the first 10 years of my injury, I really had a lot of growing to do. I resorted to anger before I resorted to any other emotion. The way I handled advocacy was not as gentle, not as soft.
mhm,
I confronted people in disabled parking all the time. I was always pissed off, and like now I'm softer and I'm chill
mhm,
and I'll respond with humor. Like, I'm settled. I am who I am, and I love who I am. And my disability has absolutely defined the Gina that is today. And I have had so many wonderful opportunities from the chair. I can't completely demonize it. Sure, I hate the hell out of it. I hate being in
mhm.
a wheelchair. Everyone does. If anyone tells you they like it, then they got some issues. But like it's
But you
it
love your
doesn't
life.
have
It's not so much
yeah,
the
it
chair, but
doesn't
your life.
yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't be the end of everything. For me it wasn't. And it is a challenge that constantly has to be overcome and things like that. But I think when you find that security and you're willing to put yourself out there on social media, I love seeing other women in chairs. Like I really do. Like I'm on there, I'll like and I comment and I'm encouraging, I'll share stuff because, like, for me personally, like, I think it's super important that we all see other women who are out there grinding away, doing the same thing. It's very motivational. I love seeing other women do advocacy. I'm like,
Yes.
yes, you know,
Yeah, me too. I feel the same exact way. It just lights my heart on fire. I love seeing it every single time. I love watching them come out of their shell, and I love watching them find themselves over the years and like while following their journey, and just watching them become little firecrackers. Like it is the joy in it, and that's why I think it's so important to continue doing it. It's just such a hard balance with with this other side, because with that also comes the devotees, and that is also really hard for people in the beginning too, afterwards. Now inside of my injury, they don't bother me. I just find them interesting people, and it's a laughing matter. I'll show my boyfriend the DMs that I get, we'll laugh together and then it's the end of it. But in the beginning, the thought of it was just wild to me. I didn't even know it was a real thing, and I didn't know me posting when I originally started posting, it was for my community. It was to share my journey. And I wasn't expecting this whole group of people to be fucking attacking me and watching my content that I didn't really want to watch it. It's like, I want my page public so that other
yeah.
people in the community can find me, but I don't want them to find me, So it's like, what do I do? But I realized there's no way to avoid it, I just tell people it's gonna happen. Some people are into it, some people can lean into it, and I have friends who sell their feet pics, and just find funny and humor inside of that, and then there's other people who just ignore it. I would just say don't let it affect you. I know you in the beginning I did feel really ugly that there was people that were getting such satisfaction out of something that I hated so much about myself. I feel like maybe that was just so disgusting to me and it made me want to hide. But do not let these people make you hide. Unfortunately, there's fetishes for like everything. So you just putting yourself in another category, girl. So I'm so sorry. At this point, it's super hard. Of course, we have to be cautious, but I don't think it's a reason to stay off the internet. How do you
Oh,
feel about the
there's
devotees?
Oh, they're pretty harmless, honestly. I wrote an article on them about 6 years ago, I'd say. I surveyed 60 of them.
Okay. Wow. How did you
Interviewed,
do that?
yeah, I interviewed like a dozen of them. I set up a survey and I like put it out there on the like Facebook groups and stuff. And so,
Okay. And
oh
that's
hell
a
yeah,
lot. Wow.
oh yeah, it was
Oh my
fast.
God, I'm so interested. Tell me more.
So, I would put them into two categories: devotees and admirers. So, devotees are the ones that like to see you struggle. They're a little more sinister. They like to see you out of your wheelchair, needing a chair, taking you away. Sick little weird
Yeah.
things like that. They want to see you drag your body across the floor.
Hmm. Hmm. The
And
struggle of it.
then there's the admirers, and those are the sad boys. I call them the awkward turtles because they're the people that don't have love and they need love. They want to feel needed. They like dating someone in a wheelchair because it makes them feel needed. They want someone who needs help, needs assistance, that they're constantly being used,
Mhm.
useful. I really feel like it kind of falls a lot in line with people who have very similar like slave master narratives. There's a comfort, and they're not looking to do it for sinister reasons, but there are issues like uh, with all of them, but not all. And there, I know a lot of them are like, whoa, but I'm like, we all have
Yeah,
issues. Get over it.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Uh,
hard to balance. It's hard to like categorize them all as one thing or not. I know I even feel bad when I call them creeps because I'm like, they're not creeps. I feel bad for saying that, but it's just like I just
Oh, Devos are creeps. Like the ones Devos are creeps because I don't like that. Devo stuff they have fake profiles. They have
Mhm, mhm. You see all that. It's like, they do very creepy things in that nature, and it's like, but is it because they're ashamed of themselves? Like
no,
I don't know.
no, they're fucking creeps. And then no, they don't want to show their face because they know. Yeah, they should be because they know they say weird things and they do weird things. Then the admirers, they have real profiles. They show themselves.
Yeah.
When I was like crying about not being able to get catheters, like I had like 4 or 5 of them message me and be like, "Can I send them to you?" From their own accounts. Like
Yeah.
they're like, "Wow, no, thank you." But I was like, huh. And that's actually what really motivated me to write the article because I had just such a strict opinion. And I had gotten interviewed with a BBC article or BBC special, and I was like ripping into them, right? And then I did the interviews and I was like, whoa. Like, for example, one woman, she felt safe with a man who was a quadriplegic because she had been abused as a child, so she couldn't be abused physically by her partner. So that
Mhm. It's like
she
a
could.
safe.
That's the only person she could get into sexually.
But like,
Ah,
did you still categorize that as like something wrong? Because I feel like even not, even when it's not that fetish, even able-bodied people just look for people to, fit into what their traumas or fit into what they need, whether they're like caretakers or whether they like look for people who like are damaged, or look for people who are, don't have a family or, whatever the case. I feel like narcissists look for certain type of people, stuff like that. So what would you
yeah,
say?
I don't think a lot of the admirers necessarily are narcissists. Like I said, I think their confidence level is like really bad. I don't think any of it's wrong, in all
Yeah.
honesty. Like I'm somebody that's super, as long as they're consenting adults, nothing's wrong in my book. Like I nothing,
Yeah.
honey. Um, so I'm very open sexually and like I'm all about that. So like I actually am like, okay, cool, it's your fetish, that's your
Mhm.
thing. For her, the psychology behind it made so much sense. She's
Yeah.
not the norm though. Okay. She's not the norm. The norm is there's some other underlying issues that are motivating it. And I think that is kind of like because what happens is you have a relationship with the object, the wheelchair, and the injury, not the person. So that's
Mhm.
why it's healthy.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
Is that why you've always stayed away from that type of relationship?
Yeah, somebody asked me one time, "Have you ever dated a Devo?" And I said, "Not that I know of." But
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, how would you know?
right.
Somebody asked me that in person, like, have you only encountered them online or in person too? And then it really took me back because I was like, I don't know if I would know if I encountered them in person.
Well, I always joke and say I've created a few.
Oh, too funny. That's right. How
That's true.
funny. Okay, let's see what's going on in the chat. Hello, Apex. I am a man and I'm disabled. I just recently lost my right leg below the knee a year ago, but I don't go online with it. Most people are online. Yes, most people are online with it, but it's okay if you're not with it. You know, I feel like the majority of us do post for other people to see. You know, there is something great in showing somebody else that they can do it. You know, and it's something so easily that you don't really have to work hard at. You're just living your life, and this is a community that keeps on growing, and there are new people all the time. I just went to go to one hospital and there was 13 newly injured people during the holidays, so it's like
Whoa.
you just never know, you know.
Wow. Yeah, I said rocket. Put it out there. I used to know a
Yeah.
guy that was in UT and we were really close. And he was a shithead. But I called him Lucky Leg. And I know that's such a dick thing to say, but like honestly,
Yeah.
like it was great. I loved it. And I used to sing to him a song that I will not sing right
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should.
now. It's a stupid ass song. But I think it was so we had a lot of fun. I think owning it. Like I think the thing is, I have a lot of able-bodied friends.
Mhm.
And and I have a lot of friends in chairs, like both. Both. I actually, really diverse group of friends. And my friends that are able-bodied, like they don't even like they really like the chair is like a non-factor to them
Mhm.
other than like they know they got to help me and stuff here and there, but when you're just like going about life, like people don't understand our lives are so average, so everyday stuff is so much the same,
Yeah.
work, go to school, eat nice dinners, drive Tahoes, like whatever. Like I think a lot of times are like just because you're missing a leg doesn't mean shit. Like, I'm missing too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
bro, get it out there. Like, show it off. I mean, the other guy had some crazy ass spasms with that thing. I was like, yo.
Yeah, spasms are wild.
Oh,
Super
I
cool.
was like, that's like a sex toy. Like, I was like, it may be a sex stump. Take advantage of it.
You're like, put it on a plus, add it to your bio.
Like,
Hello,
selling
Lenora. Dina said, hey Gina, love those red lips. Lip
hi,
super
Dina.
cute.
I love your lady lips. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
They are beautiful.
Just a
Okay,
nice
so
friend. Let's all wish Dina well wishes for healing. Dina, sending it your way, everyone.
yes, sending well wishes. Hope you heal soon.
Yeah, she deserves it.
Yeah. So going back to your Tahoe, what was it that triggered everybody online?
I just said my license plate says cripple.
Was it
Yeah,
that?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, people are like, you put cripple on your license plate? I'm like, well, what else was I supposed to put?
I already used quad.
I already used quad. Come on. Yeah, no, what's funny is like earlier this year, I saw a brand new Tahoe driving by and I was like, oh my God, I want that. Like I was like, dreams, right? And I was like, how can I make this happen? It's like manifest, manifest, manifest. And sure enough, it
Mhm.
happened. Very lucky. I'm very grateful. And then it showed up and I was like driving in that car and I'm like, damn. I'm like, this thing is such a beast, But it made me think about like, it was so expensive, and a lot of when I was looking into getting it, there's answers, but like people don't just put out there how much they spend on all this stuff because they're always like, oh, I don't want people judging me because I did get that. Like I put out there how much it cost, and it blew people's minds. But I'm like, this is how much it costs if you were to get a lift on
Yeah.
any, not at just the top, okay? I think what people don't realize is the amount of financial abuse that people with disabilities are dealing with right now. So that kind of triggered people. Everyone thought I was a rich bitch and I don't deserve it because I'm crippled. Get her off the road. And I'm like, what? Okay.
Ah,
But, a lot of people, a lot of men felt very insecure about that. But, it's you're threatening people. The able bodied people got threatened. The disabled people got pissed because they're like, oh, must be nice. And I'm like, can't we all just cheer each other on? But it's also sparked a whole discussion about should this be covered by insurance?
mm-hmm.
Which it should.
Yeah,
Like,
there's so many things that should, but it's so weird how offended able-bodied people get by insurance covering even the things that they do, you know? And also their mind wanders and thinks we just get everything in the world for free. I don't know
yeah.
why, who told them that. But you see, those are the little things that trigger me where I just feel like I just want to go type it away to them, you know, where it's just like, what are you saying? So how
Yeah.
did you deal with those?
Yeah, I do response videos when I get those. Like, I did one where I was talking about why it's so short-sighted to not cover modifications because people don't have access to their medical care. Then they end up spending months in the hospital, and when they're in the hospital for months, you're paying way more than you would for transportation. Not to mention that it just increases their overall happiness or their ability to get a job and be
Mm,
a paying person. It's bullshit. It makes
yeah.
me so that stuff. When you talk about things that like get me sparked, like I'm like,
Mhm.
the fact that we pay copays on catheters.
Yeah.
I'm like, I pay to pee. That's stupid.
Yeah, it's beyond stupid. I'm dealing with it as well right now, and it's just like it just sucks, and I feel like people don't realize, like, those are the hard moments, you know? It's not so much, like, the walking part of it, it's, like, having to deal with the health insurance and all the behind the scenes, and, like, now I have to pay out of pocket for this, and I need to make sure I have enough money for this, and, yeah, there are all these amazing things, but can I afford them? Because insurance isn't covering it, you know? I'm barely making any money, they don't let me have any money in my fucking account, you know? Like, it's
Yeah.
like, what do I do? So, I feel like in the beginning, that's why it seems so overwhelming too. It's just like, how am I
Oh
gonna
my god. First off, like 99% of Americans don't know anything about insurance anyway. Like I was talking to my friends the other night, and they're like in their 30s and they're like, how do you pick your insurance? I was like, we need to have this talk. I'm like grown ass people, but nobody knows like what a deductible is or whatever. So then when they get injured, they're like not only dealing with learning how to navigate a brand new body, they are also learning how to navigate the world of medical, which is such a nightmare.
Yeah.
And now I'm like very well versed, unfortunately. But yeah, when it comes to coverage, I think people don't realize what little coverage there is. Like everyone always thinks that my caregiving is covered, and I'm like, no, I pay out of pocket for that.
Mhm.
Oh
Yeah, it's
yeah,
wild. I mean, I don't think you even know because when I got injured, I was like, "What the fuck? I'm paralyzed." Like, I was flabbergasted that they were not helping me the way I thought. I was like, "What's worse than this?" You know? Now, obviously, I know there's tons of different disabilities and people are like having tons of different crises every single day, but at the moment I just couldn't believe it that they really weren't trying to help me and they were denying me and making me go cut corners and making me do all these other things and get the roundabout and do appeals and do all this other paperwork and then you have to go to this place and turn in this thing and get this other thing signed. And how overwhelming that is to deal with on top of all our PTSD and all this other fucking trauma we're dealing with. Like most of the times I almost want to just avoid it. Even now to this day, I hate dealing with it. And like I'll never forget when I was calling and asking if I could get hand controls and she said, "No, that's a privilege for you." And I couldn't even talk. I was barely not even a year out
yeah.
and I just started crying and I was just like, "What do you mean a privilege? Like, I can't use my legs. Like, what the fuck are you saying to me right now?" You know? And so that's definitely a battle, but I do tell people don't give up, keep on putting in those requests. And unfortunately, you know, we have to just hope that we get approved for these different things, like don't let those denials get you down
But
and look for alternative ways.
like there's so many programs too, like vocational
Yeah.
rehab. Like if you are an injury, the one thing I've learned, a newer injury, I learned the most from other injuries that were dinosaurs like me, that had done it for a long time, that had been at it. You know, they're the ones that are going to tell you, lay on your stomach. They're going to be the ones that tell you, stretch out your toes. They're going to be
Yeah.
the ones that tell you, make sure you have a good cushion, make sure you watch your ass. They're going to be like, they're the ones that know everyday life. They're going to show you the ways, the tricks. They're going to take you down, the blue brick road, which is the handicap blue, but it's all
Yeah.
accessible. So, so
That's the best.
yeah. So like, a lot of people like gotta realize. I know I saw we got a couple of comments. Hi, Adrian.
Yes,
Adrian.
I love my girl. We got a super chat, $10. Hi, girls, from WJ Weaver. Thank you so much. We appreciate the
Uh,
support. Tom, a tea fizzle up in the chat. Y'all ladies got me dying. Food is art. Hello, hello.
Someone call
Goldman,
911.
I always tell people that they are welcome to switch places with me to see what it's like to be disabled. WJ Weaver also said, my plate says Crip one. Great. I love it.
I love it. Yeah, my crippled brother.
I also love the other one that I saw on, was it your previous van where it says, once you go
Once you
Crip?
go down, you're a pimp.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm drinking water too, you guys.
I know. I get on here. I miss. Look, I can't even talk right now. I can't even think of my
Girl,
words sometimes. I'm like, what am I even saying? Why can't I talk when I get on this podcast? Sometimes it's wild. All right. Gina, you are the weather woman for sure. Weather
weather
woman?
one.
Did you say something about the weather? I don't remember. It's not what they mean. I don't know what you mean like that. Let's clarify a little bit for us.
I
Um,
want to know. Food is art, though. Listen, food is art. I was in culinary school when I broke my neck, and I still cook like crazy. I have this cripple knife that I love. I could probably kill someone with it, but I won't.
Where'd you
Not.
get it from?
I got.
Not today.
I got it from a quadriplegic. His name is on Instagram, wheelchair woodworker, and he custom made it for me. And that thing has given me so
Okay.
much. Crazy. I love it. So shout out,
Whoa.
Steve.
Does
Steve.
he does like specialized like requests or does he like put stuff like to sell
Yeah,
like
he
on a shop?
will. Yeah, he will. He's not cheap, so come with some coin. But you know what?
But it's good. It's lasted you a while?
Oh, years. It's amazing.
Okay, okay. And what did you say his name was again?
Wheelchair woodworker.
Okay, okay. That's great. I
And
think that's would be hard.
give him
That's
some
super good.
support. Good dude.
Okay, let's see. We have no clarification on the weather woman yet, but we have insurance is the biggest scam in America. Ugh, yes.
It,
And Adrian says it would be so great to pee for free. Yes, wouldn't it be great? Oh,
yeah,
what?
it would. Adrian. Hell yeah, it would. She works for a medical supply company. She knows.
Oh, really? My insurance was covering it for a while, but out of nowhere, like a couple months ago, they were like, "Yeah, your insurance switched to a secondary one, and they rerouted it this way, so now we can't deal with nothing that's in your health net region." And I was like, well, that doesn't help me. So I'm like, okay, well, what do I do so I can get my catheters? They're like, you have to switch to straight Medi-Cal. So I call and they're like, well, if you do that, you won't be able to see none of the doctors in your area. And I'm like, well, what solution do I have now? Like, they irritate the fuck out of me for sure.
Yeah, this is what they do. Maybe you can get a supplemental though that'll cover it. I know people have been saying don't do the supplementals, but
You feel like you should.
yeah, sometimes I did. I got one, and I was like, I actually have two. I've got a lot of insurance. I pay a lot of money for insurance,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, it's because my catheters are so expensive, and it's just that way. It just saves me money, and I'm kind of one of those people that I'm like, I want to be careful. Like, if anything does happen, I don't want to be paying thousands and thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
Like, I broke my leg last year in Alaska.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, like this
How was
girl
that
was
recovery?
medical. Oh, it was horrible. I do not recommend. It was the
Oh,
worst.
man.
It was a horrible,
I
horrible.
get
Don't.
annoyed when I like pull my arm out a little bit or anything where I'm more disabled or more hurting than I usually am. I'm like triggered. So breaking my leg. So
Oh,
how did you do it?
I was. What I think it was. What town was I in? Some little ass town in Alaska. And I popped up over. I have this little power chair that I take that's a fold up power chair, and I called the granny wagon because this guy I was dating was like, "Why'd you buy a wheelchair that looks like a granny's wheelchair?" And I was like, "Oh, the granny wagon. That's the name." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I don't give a shit." So I did, and he was right. It was so funny. And so I was in the granny wagon. I popped up over this thing, and my leg got stuck and twisted, and like oh Oh man. And I didn't want to go to medical. Like I was on a cruise ship, which I never do cruises and I never will again. But so I rode it out for 4 days and then went to the hospital when I got back off the boat.
Oh my God, you're a trooper. Damn, sober?
Oh no, I was drunk as hell.
Oh. Well, that
No,
helps.
I did it sober, and I was drunk like for
Yeah.
4 days. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, okay, okay. That works. That works. That is
Dr.
so funny.
McAllen. Dr. McAllen was who was taking care of me.
And how long did it take for it to heal?
About 6 weeks. Yeah, I healed really quick. It was
Okay.
just early, but the autonomic dysreflexia was nothing I ever expected. It was,
Mhm.
and I, woohoo,
You're
man,
like,
that'll.
oops, I broke my leg. You just be breaking
Oh,
everything.
I'm like, I never broke
Girl,
anything.
oops, oops, oops. Your name is actually the
I can
funniest thing too.
create all these for all my injuries. I'll just start creating it.
It's just a list on your Instagram. Oops, I broke my neck, my finger, my
It
leg,
was
my
my leg. Today. Yeah.
my hip, all these things. That's so funny. And your Instagram name, has that always been your name?
Yeah. Oops, I broke my neck. Has yeah, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
great one. I absolutely love it so much. Every time I see it, every single time I read it, I just crackle. I'm just like, that's great. So hilarious. Okay, so for our last question, what would be your advice to someone who wants to quit posting because of the intense amount of internet trolls that they're getting?
Stop caring about them. Honestly, here's what. Then they win. You
Hmm.
know, if I always tell people, if you're getting hate, you're doing great.
Hmm.
Always remember that. Like the reason why you're getting that is because you're ruffling feathers and probably in a good way. Society, when you ruffle feathers, we have this ideal that that's not a good thing. But
Hmm.
really, that we've gotten all the changes made in this world. So, um, continue to ruffle feathers. Like, just they don't see you naked, they don't pay your bills. It
Yeah.
don't matter.
Yeah, continue being you. There's always like that satisfaction of going back and seeing all the things that you have accomplished, all the smiles that you have, all those great times. I mean, I even got this little Wi-Fi picture frame. I just hung it above my bed, and so it shows multiple little pictures. My mom actually got it for me, and now she's able to send me any picture she wants. So she just sends me a bunch of pictures of myself that I sent her, and I'm like, Mom, this is not the way this works.
Oh,
But it's so great to see like those laughing moments, and it also reminds me like to document more things. And sometimes it can be like a little bit cringe to get into the habit of pulling out your phone and kind of recording different things, but going back, sometimes these years, I mean, for me especially, this last year has been a hell of a year, and it's really hard. There's been a lot of downs, and so it helps to be able to look at the ups, and follow your progress and be like, wow, I have grown so much from last year, because sometimes it can be overwhelming. I'm now dealing with like a new problem, a new problem, a new problem, and you forget how far you've come, how much you've grown. So I
yeah,
would say, like, do it for yourself
yeah,
and do it for the people who love you so they can
yeah.
watch you grow.
The valleys, they don't last forever. Like I think that's a big thing, and just like getting back into that, like getting out, being social. There's beautiful things. So like here we are talking about the negative, but and I know we're closing up, but just for a closer, I want to remind people the beauty that comes with social media. Like look at
Mhm.
us girls connecting here, we would never connect in any other shape or form. Usually, you're in a completely different state. I've got friends that are best friends of mine that I have met on social media. I got a message today from someone, and they were like, "You saved my life," and I'm like, "What?" Like, you like, hear those things are like, but like people will find you when you're sharing the triumph over your struggles. People will see that at the time they need to see it sometimes, and you don't understand the reach that you'll have. So, yes, there's negative, but the
There's negative in anything you do.
gorgeous. The positive is gorgeous. It's
Yes.
gorgeous. Like it outshines. Like when you're in a dark room, all you need is one little light to brighten up the room. And I think that's what you got to focus on. Like, stop looking at. I just right past, unless I'm like, oh, I've got a good comeback.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll even like it. I actually
Yeah.
like a lot of the dickhead statements. Like, well, that's rude. Like, so, like, get to that point. Like, just be like, I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, that's great. I think that that's a great way to look at it and a great way to encourage yourself to keep on going. Don't let them you down. We've touched on tons of things and ways that you can look at the situation. And it's just like anything that's negative. I mean, I use this reference a lot just in our disability. It's like, yeah, it sucks, but we're going to put all the things that suck in this pile. We're going to focus on the things that make us happy, make us smile, beautifulness stuff in this pile. You know, that's the way you got to go, because I like myself and I like my life better when I focus on this pile. It doesn't mean that this one doesn't exist. It just means I'm choosing to focus on this one. So
Agreed.
that's
I
what I
love
would take into it. Yes. Thank you so much, Gina, for
it. Thank
joining
you
us.
for having
It was
me.
a great conversation. I'm so happy. Thank you for all the guests for showing up. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe. We're moving on up there, and make sure that you share to your friends. We are back every Tuesday with another show with the guys, great topics. And then we are back every Wednesday with a gaming show. T Fizzle gets down. He goes and plays Fortnite and all other fun games. And even if you're not a gamer, which you are, you can join on with him and actually play the game with him. And if you're not, you can just join in the chat with me, and we could just talk to T Fizzle, tell him, good job, T Fizzle, and do all this other fun stuff. So make sure you join in that one. On Thursday, we have the Rolling Over the Hill. We have Bobby and we have Lewis and we have Robert come on, and they kind of just talk about aging in a chair. I recommend everybody watch this show because we are all aging in a chair. And so they give great advice, and might as well hop on it now until you're later on in your disability, and then you have to worry about all these things. Better to catch on it now. They talk about like dealing with pain, dealing with all kinds of different things inside of a chair. So make sure you check them out. They have tons of videos. And then I'm back every other Thursday with a new women's show. I think I got everything. Sorry, Shawn. My brain always goes to scrambles right here. Oh, sponsors. Good job. Mobility professionals and urology professionals. They are our sponsors, and they're so great. They love us so much. So make sure you check them out for all your care and your needs. They have great customer care service. That's something that I always compliment them on. They go out of their way to check in with me each month, even if I don't reach out. They always make sure my supplies are on time. So make sure you give them a call if you need anything. And that's it. I hope you guys all live to roll. We're out of here. Bye.
Thank